quiet, I feel like I'm in a movie. Everybody's waiting. May not be as good as the movie you saw this weekend, but it's going to be more educational, I hope. What I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce you to what we call the 5 components of fitness. Has anybody in here ever exercised before? Okay. Did anybody in here just now start back in January from a layoff? A few of you? Okay. I don't know. A little bit. What we want to talk about is this. Most people do what we call this. Start and stop. And the neatest thing in this field to me, I've been in it 16 years, is every year I see some of the same faces. The January, New Year. That's why you saw me after walking around filming a while ago. I was thinking, look, I saw you last year in January for about 6 weeks. You faded out on it. This time's a little bit different. I started doing an orientation class about 5 months ago. And the reason why I started doing it, I thought, well, maybe if I do this, I can educate people on how to not exercise so hard, and they'll stick with the program. The neat thing about it, if you watch people on the floor, you may be watching tonight, for instance. Most people that fade out, they don't come in here and under-exercise, they over-exercise. They want results overnight. They don't think about the fact that it took about a year to just get where they're at now, and they want to get the results in about 2 days. I deal with that all the time. They want that magic machine out there for their stomach. No such thing.
That's not what you do here?
No, I wish I did. In fact, by the time I get through, you're going to think, boy, y'all do something totally different from what I thought I did. What I want to talk about is the 5 components of fitness. These are the components that you have to apply together. If you don't apply them together, you're never going to get exactly where you want to get. You'll get to some stages, but you'll plateau at those stages and you won't be able to complete it. What we like to do is talk about these. Now these, a lot of times you go somewhere and they say it's not necessarily in this order, but I believe it's in this order. The first thing is your eating habits. Nutrition. That's the key factor about getting results in anything.
Would you cut that spot over there?
Is there a spot here? Oh.
Thank you.
He's trying to listen in and say, the thing you I'm glad I didn't touch it. You see it. Now you get me nervous. The thing you want to think about, though, is the proper eating habits. It's going to be a key factor. We're also going to talk about cardiovascular fitness. Talk about how it plays a role. Now, it's always been a misconception about what cardiovascular does as far as people when they want to get in shape. We're going to talk about also about resistance training. We'll talk about supplementation. We'll talk about professional assistance, which is what we're here for. The first thing you got to think about is this. You've got 2 scales of fitness, and I see it every day when you walk in. Every one of you that walked in, if you took a tour of this club, you would probably ask one question. What brings you in here? What's your goals? And we judge that on the 2 things. Kind of like we've got a couple of doctors, and they judge the same thing probably on different things. The way we judge it is this. If you come in and you tell me, and I say, what are you in here for? I want to lose some weight. Well, I put you in a scale over here, the cosmetic fitness person. If you come in and you say, well, I want to get my heart strong. I just really want to get to feel better. I'm going to place you over on this scale, which is health. You're concerned about your health. Now, chances are, if I put you on this side, I'm planning on you fading out in about 6 to 8 weeks, so I better start doing some motivational talking to you quick to get you back on this scale here, because most people that come in, they want cosmetic fitness. In other words, think in your mind, you don't have to necessarily answer me, but how many of you are in here just to lose some weight? Quite a few of you, probably. Now, the thing is this. When people try to lose weight, what are they trying to lose? And that's what we're going to talk about today, because most of you are here because you want to lose weight. What I want to do is make you think about getting healthy, and the weight will come off later. Instead of coming here and wanting to lose some weight real quick, and then you all of a sudden give it up, and you don't get it as fast as you want. Let me ask you this question. If I told everyone in here that I could get weight off twice as fast as you put it on, would you be excited? I can do that. The only thing is this. You didn't put it on here as fast as you thought you did. It took a while. The thing is you enjoy doing it. Sitting down on the couch, eating chips and dips, pizza and all that stuff. It took a while to gain this. You probably gained more than a pound a week. But at the end of the year, you're 15 pounds heavier. You're thinking, hey, I need to get this off. When you come in here, we get it off twice as fast. It's just we're not as impatient, because it's not quite as enjoyable sitting there while eating Bluebell ice cream on the couch watching your favorite show. We'll be doing a little exercise here. Let's talk about nutrition. First of all, I want you to understand what nutrition is. We're hesitant to use that word anymore, because the first thing you start thinking about is Brussels sprouts and all that type of stuff here. It doesn't mean that. All it means is your eating habits need to be correct. What you have to think about is this. All of our bodies function like a machine. You got to squeeze in somewhere. And maybe some chairs out there. The thing you have to think about, our bodies are created to function like a machine. We just don't allow them to. what we normally do is we go on what we... Has anybody here been on a diet? Did it work?
Sure.
Or did it stay that way? Do you know why? Do you know what burns fat? Anybody here know what burns fat? And we got a big problem. Here's the big problem is no one even knows what burns fat, and how can we even lose it? We've always been misguided on how to lose fat. Because every time we go on a diet, what's the first thing you do on a diet? You look for the best cosmetology magazine, Glamour, or whatever, and you go by that diet, right? Do you not think you're different than everybody here? Or we're not all different? And how the same diet can work for everyone? It's not going to work. The thing is, though, if you want to lose weight, I can get weight off of every one of you real quick. Now, I'm not going to sit here and guarantee you're going to keep it off, because I'm going to shoot for the first thing I can get off, which is muscle. And the reason why I'm going to shoot for that is muscle weighs more than fat. So the thing is, when you go on a starvation diet, what you're doing is you're cutting out your calories. Well, let's think about this for a second. If you died right now, would I ever have to feed any of you again? I wouldn't, would I? Now think about this then. If you died right now and I never had to feed you again, fat's dead weight, isn't it? Wouldn't it float in the water? If you cut off some fat, float in the water, muscle would sink. So think about this for a second. Why do you starve yourself when you're going to die when the fat's already dead weight? It's already dead. It doesn't need a nutrient from one way or another, does it? But your muscle, on the other hand, muscle is what burns fat. So if you starve yourself, what are you starving? You're starving muscle. Then you get muscle deterioration, and then you have less of what we call the fat burner. Everybody looks for that miracle fat burner. Well, muscle's a miracle fat burner. Not the fat pill you buy off the counter. Yeah, that don't work. If they did, we wouldn't have 70% of people walking around overweight. The only thing works is you have to have muscle. So every time we go on a diet, we lose muscle. So we look at real excited, we stand on the scale thinking, 20 pounds, this is cool, I'll fit in that dress now. 6 weeks later, I gained that 20 pounds back, 5 on top of it. I wonder what I did. I guess I just cut my calories down a little bit lower next time, right? Wouldn't that work? That's what we've all tried to do. But eventually the calories are so low, you're thinking, man, ain't nothing working anymore. That's because the muscle's gone. And you ever look at that person before that lost like 50 pounds, 75 pounds real quick, and they look like a microwave version of what you saw before? Same person, just a little bit smaller, same amount of fat, all they lost was muscle. Now they're in a situation, now they start eating right again, and what happened? They're bigger than they were before. They start ballooning out and get bigger and bigger. And then you have to hear about them complaining about, every time I smell food, I gain weight. You ever been one of those guys? And they're talking about the person next to them saying, that guy can eat anything they want, never gain weight. That's because that person eats regular. They eat like their body. See, your body tells you when you're hungry, doesn't it? Now, how many of you ever ignored that feeling when your body says you're hungry? I ain't got time to eat right now, I'm trying to lose weight. Or it tells you when you're full, hey man, it's Sunday dinner, man, I'm eating as much as I want to. I don't want to eat the rest of the day, I'm stuffing myself. Now think about this for a second. We're all different, and our body needs a different amount of nutrients for each one of us. What we have to do is determine what nutrients we need. We all need a certain amount of protein, carbohydrates, and fats, along with vitamins and minerals and enzymes. Now the thing what you have to think about is this. How do you know what you need? It's hard to do because it takes a lot of footwork. In other words, let me give you an example. Let's say this. Let's say I need 20 grams of protein to sustain the muscle I have now, about every 3 hours. But I just learned that I need a lot of protein when I work out to build muscle. Now, if I go out here and I work out hard, and I go and I take a protein shake, or I take some kind of protein source, and I give my body more than it needs, say 25 grams of protein. My muscles are going to say, I appreciate that, Cody. You gave me the protein, I needed so much, but you gave me 5 grams too much. But I tell you what I'll do, I'll just store that down on your love handle for you. You may need it later on when you get stuck in that snowstorm in Alaska. Now, if you think about this, when you go on a starvation diet and you starve yourself, what are you doing? You're slowing your metabolism down. Your body's still in a survival state. It wants to survive at all times, does it not? So, if it stores fat, it's going to be a better chance of survival when you get stuck in a desert or a snowstorm, whatever. But how many of us are likely to do that? Seriously, not too many. But your body does not know that you're not in one when you starve yourself all day. The example is, how many of you ate breakfast this morning? How many of you didn't eat breakfast this morning? A few of you. That's a valuable meal, because when you go to bed at night, no matter what you ate before you went to bed, your body's going to use it one way or another. If it doesn't use it in the wherever parts of your body, it'll store it as fat. It's just huge. It's no good for you then, unless you get stuck somewhere. So, when you get up in the morning, you need to eat the breakfast, and you need to maintain off of the day about 5 meals a day. Now, when I say 5 meals, most of you are thinking, I don't have time to eat 5 meals. or you're thinking about a big meal on the table. Your body doesn't know the difference, whether it's a meal on the table, if it's a liquid, it just knows what it needs, the nutrients. So if you're feeding your body what it needs, your body will start running like a machine. The people you normally see that don't have weight problems, do they not always eat? Think about it for a minute. They don't ever eat. Now the people that never can lose the weight, aren't they the ones always in the shopping center with low fat food in the shopping cart? That's all they do. Low fat, no fat. Just a dull menu of it. But the thing is, it doesn't work. What you have to do is just learn how your body works. Now again, all I'm trying to do is give you some ideas here. An example is this. Everyone up here drove up here, right? Probably, unless you live close and you ran, which I doubt it. So, let's think about this for a minute. What's the first thing you did when you drove out of your driveway to come up here in your car? You did it out of habit. You probably don't even realize you did it, but you do it probably every day before you take off your work. Well, seatbelt, that's true. But you look at your gas gauge. How come you look at your gas gauge? Because you don't want to look stupid broke down the side of the road, right? So we check it. How many of you checked your fuel gauge to your body before you left? None of us did. In other words, let's do this. Anybody want a free year membership in here? Would you like it? Okay, tell you what I'll do then. If you'll drive to Dallas and pick up this piece of equipment for me, I'll give you your membership free. By the way, let me give you gas money. Here's 50 cents. Now, she thinks I'm stupid, right? Because she knows her car won't make it back and forth on 50 cents. But how many of you didn't eat breakfast this morning? But we rely on our body. Now, what it does then, is that maybe where muscle deterioration comes in? You're burning up what's not there, so it's going to use different sources. In other words, what I'm saying is this. We don't drive the same car for probably over 5 years. We trade it in. And yet, we'll always change the oil in it. We'll make sure we got the best gas in it, and then we trade it in. Now, how many of us take good care of our bodies in 5 years we do a car? Knowing that we can't trade it in. We're stuck with it. That's why eating habits are so important. We have to get those down. If not, you never. In other words, I see people all the time, y'all, they come in and work out an hour. They walk out. The next 23 hours, they're totally messing up. They come back 2 days later and work out again. 6 weeks later, they come up to me and say, Cody, I don't like this program. I haven't lost any weight. Well, let me ask you this. You think hard on this question. This is going to try to fool you here. If I talked to them before they joined up and they said, hey, I've been gaining about 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds a month. I'm tired of it. I'm ready to do something. They've been working out 6 weeks. They come and say, Cody, I haven't lost any weight. I'm going to ask them this. Have you gained any weight? They're going to say, no. Have they lost weight, y'all?
Yes.
Why? Because I didn't allow them to gain that 2 pounds they gained. If they would control what they do on the outside, the 23 hours they're not here, then they would even lose. But what your body's doing is rewarding you for what you're doing. But you got to think now. 3 hours a week, it's going to take a little bit more than that, right? We maintain our car more than that. We have to maintain our body more than that. The workout, yes, 3 hours. But you have to do everything else right on the outside. Now, what we'll be doing is we're going to be breaking these components down in a 1-hour class where we really get detail on these things. But tonight I'm just making you think about the importance of each one. So let's go from nutrition, talk about cardiovascular fitness. This is a fun one for me because I've been in this 16 years and I've seen the ages change. When I got into it, it was the end of the Iron Age. I don't know if any of you guys used to work out in gyms, but old hardcore bodybuilders were all around. You didn't have any women around, it was just hardcore gym. Then in about 84, when the movie Perfect came out, y'all remember that movie? Boy, it was something else. All of a sudden, pastel colors, the ladies were coming in doing aerobics. It was fun for the guys. We were like, hey. But the thing is this, when they first started and doing aerobics, it looked so neat, but all the aerobics teachers started gaining weight. So I would always think, well, what are you doing? Pigging out after class or what? No, I never eat. Well, back then we didn't know the difference of what meant what. So I just thought they were apparently cheating. They're going to McDonald's or Burger King every time they live here. But it turned out right. They weren't eating at all, and they weren't doing any strength training. They were just doing cardio. So what you had is a bunch of women who could run laps around the building, and their booties were hanging down to their knees. You ever seen them skinny women running? Oh, yeah, they're what we call invasion of fat skinny people. Their booties hanging down their knees, and they're running complaining about their booty being sagging when they're only that thin. What it is, they're what we call people that you walk up to, you think, that person looks fit. You went to walk up and grab their arms. You got skin and bone there. There's no muscle tone there whatsoever. They're fat, skinny people. They're not any healthier than, say, an overweight woman on the treadmill out there. In fact, it's probably worse off. So what we started doing is we started trying to educate people what cardiovascular exercise is for. The first thing you have to think about is this. We all think it's the thing that burns fat, don't we? Because when most people are trying to lose weight, they want to get into cardio. That's where they always want to go. They don't want to strength train. at all. They want to do cardio. It does play a role in it, and I'm going to explain it to you in a minute, but it plays a different role. The first thing you want to think about is this. Let's say you came in here and you're all excited. It's New Year's, and you're a lot of excited people out here tonight. It's great. Now let's say I toured you instead of someone else toured you, and when you walked in, you were all excited because you all of a sudden got that desire from watching TV the other day. Man, this is cool, man. My New Year resolution is to lose some weight. Well, when you come in here, I walk in and say, you know what? We toured around the club, but hey, by the way, did I tell you that 300-something people died last year exercising? You're probably going, what's this guy talking about? And by the way, when you're working out, I'm going to tear you down hard and send you on your way. Now, with that in mind, you think you're going to want to join the gym? Okay. Now think about this for a second. That's absolutely true. 300-something people did die last year exercising, and I'll tell you why in a second. And we are going to tear you down tremendously when you come here. Why? Because every time you work out the muscle, you tear it down. And we're relying on everything you're doing outside. You're going to build it back, so when you come back, we tear you down again, and we send you on your way every time. Every time you come back, you're in better shape if everything's done right. Well, let me tell you exactly what I'm talking about. If you do cardiovascular exercise, you can overtrain on it as well as anything else. So what you want to think about is this. Let's take an example here. When you do cardio and you rely on cardio only and you don't know how to do your exercise heart rate, let's say you're the person who watched the info commercial. Have you ever seen one? They're kind of neat now, aren't they? I mean, they make 30-minute info commercials on equipment now to really get you interested in buying equipment. The only thing they don't teach you about it when you get it is what? Basically what to do on it, right? I mean, you got an idea from seeing the commercial. Now, who do they have on the commercial doing it? These awesome-looking people, right? And they're getting after it, sweating, bragging, and all that mess, and just making it look real good. Now, you get it home, and from what you've always learned, you know that you have to go faster on it, right? The faster you go, it's kind of like that no pain, no gain theory. The faster you go, the more calories you burn, right? That's what it's all about. Now, you get on it, after you put it together, you get on it, and you start walking. Well, after about 10 minutes in your mind, you think, you know, I bet if I went faster, because I always see the people in the gym or people in the commercial go faster, I bet if I go faster that I'll burn more calories. It makes sense, doesn't it? But all of a sudden, after about 15 minutes, you get a little bit dizzy, but that's just normal. I mean, you've never exercised before. So now, all of a sudden, you go a little faster. Well, guess what happens next? All your family at your funeral next day. But what happened? You just had a heart attack. What you do, you got up to above your maximum heart rate. Now, why did you do it? You didn't know any better. Now, eventually, you're going to know better because they're going to have to put this on fitness equipment you buy in stores that is selling to you. But what I'm saying is this. You have to know how to do your exercise heart rate when you start doing cardio. The reason why we all work out too hard. You either come to work out hard or you don't show up at all, most people. Most people are willing to start off slow, so we want you to start off slow, work it up, make a lifestyle out of it. If you come in here, you were going to drive to Dallas for me. Do me another favor. Drive out, put your car, walk out to your car, start it, put it neutral, floor it for 15 minutes, come back and report to me what happened. She's not going to do that, is she? What's going to happen? We know what happens. She's going to blow the motor up, right? So let's take our fancy sports car. You fly, when you get those RPMs up, it goes into red zone. What do you know to do? Lay it back off, right? Now, what about our heart? If you take, now this is American Heart Association speaking, not me. You take 220 minus your age, you get a maximum heart rate. Okay, let's take it for 189 on max. If I get up to that point above it, I'm getting kind of in a danger zone here. I don't need to be above that zone. If I do, I'm putting chances I can just go ahead and die of a heart attack. I don't want to do that, but if I don't know any better, I won't know if I'm doing it or not. What you do is you take this. You take the 220 minus your age, you get your max. Now, if you haven't exercised before, you want to go about 60% of your max and get your exercise heart rate. Once you start exercising, you stay with it. About every 2 weeks, you'll elevate it back up to about 65, 70. By about your 6 or 8 weeks, you'll be up to about 70, 75% of your max. At that point, your energy levels pick up, you're doing well. Now, what do most people do? They go up to their max, start off, and they want to really get it. If they don't kill over, what they do, they overtrain themselves. They can't get recovered in time. They work out about 6 weeks, and they're out of here. Because their energy level hasn't done anything but go up. It's went down. And you see these. Y'all ever do these kind of people? They say, I gave that up. It wasn't good. My energy level went down. It didn't work. Well, what they do, they overtrain on it. This one is definitely, I'm going to go out here and pull a muscle, break a bone, see Dr. Smolars, and go out here and pull the heart. If I pull your heart, I'm in trouble. Probably out of a job. So y'all remember that. We've got charts in here to watch that. Do it the correct way and it'll pay off. Let me give you an example now why cardio is going to help you burn calories. Anybody ever here been to a cookout before? The cookouts are kind of nice, especially if you're out a big old bonfire about 20 foot high. If you go to a cookout and eat hamburgers, they're good, aren't they? But aren't they always some left over, and who gets to take them home? You do. Well, what's for supper the next night? Because you don't want leftovers in your refrigerator. You're going to eat hamburger again, right? Now, when you eat it this time, how do you cook it? We're an American in a spoiled society. How do you cook it? In the microwave? All right. You're going to go in there, sit down in the easy chair, watch TV, the remote, VCR, flip phone, all 9 yards. Don't bug me. Now, when you heat it, though, out of habit, like, look at your gas gauge, what's the first thing you do before you eat the hamburger? Before you eat the hamburger, think about it. Almost 90% of you do it. How about if you don't? Most of you are. You're going to sponge the hamburger off with a paper towel because you're guilty. You don't want to eat that fat, right? You ever know that grease when you cook it, you sponge it off? We don't want that grease in our diet, do we? We're healthy. We're health conscious, aren't we? The night before the cookout, I wonder how much of that grease is fat within the hamburger. Probably quite a bit, right? Well, let's take it now. The next morning, this is Saturday morning. We're all in a fast-paced life society. Saturday morning, though, you're all decided to go ahead and cook some breakfast. Anybody here eat sausage, bacon, ham, stuff like that? That's pretty good, isn't it? And when you cook it in the skillet, what's going to be in the skillet as soon as you pull it out? Grease. Is it liquefied grease? Now, if you're like most people, you like to eat it hot. When you come back in 15 minutes, if you turn the stove off, what's in the skillet then? It's still grease in it. It's just solid. Now think about this for a second. Now let's think. I'm trying to gross you out here. Now I really want to make you think about something. Now, in your body, you ever watch like surgery or something on TV and stuff? You see the fat and stuff, you know, and the cholesterol and stuff, the buildup people get in their veins, arteries, and all that stuff. It's kind of gross. It's kind of neat though when you think about it, because when you turn on the skillet again on that solid grease, what's going to happen? It's going to liquefy again, right? Now let's think about how cardio is going to help us. In cardio, when you get on the treadmill and you start walking on it, what do you start to do? You're not starting to get a little hot. So think about this for a second. Are you not getting your body temperature up a little bit? What are you probably doing at this point? Maybe releasing some fatty acids. Now you start getting the fatty acids flowing all through the bloodstream here. Where are they trying to go to? What burns them? Muscle. Now let's think about this for a second. If I'm doing cardio and I'm releasing fatty acids, that's great, and I'm probably going to burn a lot of fat to the muscle if I have a lot of muscle. Now what if I'm one of these real fat people that have no muscle? Then I'm not going to burn near as much, because what will happen is kind of like visualizing the skillet. You turn the heat off again, it goes back to hard. A lot of things, you just visualize that going in your body, going back and settling back down again until you get the cardio workout. The more muscle you have, the more chance you are going to have to burn more. That's why you see a lot of people that are just burning fat all the time. And what I'm getting at is this. If you're a person that comes in here and does the treadmill for 30 minutes, you get off and you're bragging about 350 calories you burn that cherry pie off, it's going to be a lot nicer to know that if you get leaner, you'll burn even more calories. In other words, that gauge on there is just gauge for an average person. But if you take, say, a person's 150 pounds next to another person 150 pounds, and this person is 10% body fat, the other person 20% body fat, they're going at the same exact speed, same distance, same time. Who's going to burn the most fat? The person with 10% body fat, right? So, does it not make sense to try to get it lean? The more muscle you get, it burn off. And you've got to remember, too, this. Muscle's not, I know women always think of this, but they see these muscle magazines with these big old huge women here. Muscle is not necessarily going to look like that on you women, because you're not going to produce the testosterone that these women are taking. What it's going to do is going to be leaner. It's lean muscle tissue. In other words, you got to remember that muscle is 70% water, fat 30% water. Muscle is going to weigh more. So if you're a person who's always stood and believed in the scale, you can't always do that, because if you're in here, we're going to try to put muscle on you. You may gain 2 or 3 pounds, and you're thinking, oh, I'm not here to do that. But think about it. If I can put 3 pounds on you and lose 4 inches in your hips or your waist, or I can take 3 pounds and do nothing to your hips or waist, where are you going to be more excited at? The measurement drop, right? That's where you got to think. You're going to weigh different here than you do on the moon, so the weight doesn't mean anything. It's what the weight is made up of. You can take the military speak to change over their deal. It used to be a height scale where you're a certain height, you had a waist or. But they started finally getting to the point they're seeing that some of these guys come in there so lean muscle, they look so they're good, but they weigh a lot more than they're supposed to on the height chart. But they're lean, or they'll get some guy in there who falls perfect. He's got a gut on him. It's just not, doesn't make sense. So you have to look at what your weight's made up. If it's made of lean muscle, you're going to be a lot more rewarded later on in years. We'll talk about that more. But I want you to understand what cardiovascular is all going to play a role together. Now, let's talk about supplementation. You dietitian, did you? Oh, no. You get an argument with dietitian when you talk about this. Supplements. I'm going to tell you why I believe in them, and you can make your own decision. I believe in them for one fact. There's an article that came out here recently called Exercise Without Proper Nutrition Slows Suicide. I totally believe that. Because when you exercise, your body doesn't know where you're at. In other words, you think your body knows you're laying in the gym sitting here in the seminar any more than it knows when you're on a treadmill, or running outside, or if you're lifting a weight, or if you're super tired throwing a tire. It only knows you're being active. It knows after the fact of being active needs to be rewarded, right? In other words, your body has nutrients need. I bet every one of you make sure your oil gauge in your car is set just right. You don't want to mess anything up. And why not make sure our body has everything? We need our vitamins and minerals and our enzymes. Everything needs to be set right for your body. If you're a person that's always saying my energy's down here, or this, or I don't feel good, chances are you're missing something. There's something missing. If you exercise, you're in worse shape. This is going to get you a little scared, but if you exercise and your nutrition and your supplementation is not right, you're in worse shape than if you just drove by the state line and waved at me and thought I'll see you next year. Because when you come in here, like I say, you're going to be active and your body's going to be burning up more of these things, which is good because you want that. You just have to remember to replace it. Now, what I want to do is talk about a few things on supplements. First of all, the reason why I believe is this. In 1957, they did a test in the United States on the soil. It showed that almost 70% of the soil in the United States is depleted of the nutrient value that we need. Has it got any better, you know? No, it hasn't got any better. So, here's what we're looking at. We're not getting what we needed, but let's go one complaint. Let's talk about this. Now, I've talked to a dietitian before who told me that you get everything through your food. And I agree with it. But let me debate my part of it, though. If you eat from the food pyramid, she said. Now, does everybody know what the food pyramid is? You learn that in school. We all know what the food pyramid is. Now, let me ask you a question. How many of you ate from the food pyramid today? Got everything you needed from it? Anybody? Close? How many of you ate one time the entire year, got everything? I'm talking about the grains, the dairy products, the meats, everything you needed. Did anybody at least one day out of the entire year? Okay then. But if you get it from your food, from the pyramid, then how many of us got it from our food this year? None of us did. Well, let's take it a step further here. Everything in society is based on money, basically now. It's competition. Everything. Spirits come, even in this field. I want people that are going the same life that I can to come here. Just like wherever you're at, you want the business at your place. Farmers are no different. My father-in-law is a crop duster, been doing it for many years. So I asked him a lot of different questions about, different crops and stuff. And some of the things I've learned, like, do you ever watch 60 Minutes Prime Time? These are neat shows, y'all, because what is their whole job now? They're going to expose somebody for something. Have you watched about chickens and cattle? What are they doing now with this stuff? Injecting it with what? Hormone. How come? Think about it. Did y'all know Arnold Schwarzenegger? How come he got famous? Was he huge one time? What was he on? How did he get so big? Hormones. So think about this. If all of a sudden one day a farmer thinks, you know what? If I could beat this other farmer to market, I bet I could get more money. So he injects it with hormones. Gets it there, weighs more, gets more money. Now, this other farmer catches on and thinks, you know what? I'm going to beat him next year. He does the same thing. Now, they're all doing it, because they all going to try to beat. So they're just kind of like football players. You think almost all pro football players are on steroids? You almost have to be now. 400-pound linemen, just kind of, bodybuilders in here. An example, one here came here 2 weeks ago, squat 800 pounds for reps. 300 pounds after, y'all never took anything to life. 300 pounds, 4% body fat. You think I believe that? No way. Do you think I'm going to believe these 300-pound, 400-pound cows come here growing that fast? Chickens that are ready, full grown and ready to go in about 4 weeks? I mean, they're injecting now. They're getting the market quicker, but are we getting the nutrients that we once did? Are we not getting a little additives in there too? Okay, now let's talk about produce, fruits, vegetables. We all like that stuff, don't we? We all eat it because we want to be healthy. Well, let's think about this. Anybody ever get a cucumber at Albertsons or something? Aren't they neat looking? They're all the same. They look like twins. All of them are twins. They all look the same. They all got that clear coat like you want in your car, You can wash it for 5 hours and it won't get all that messed up. Now, you ever been to your grandparents' house or something? You come around their garden and you think, man, this is about a warped up looking thing. Now, it's got all the nutrients in it, probably none of the other stuff added to it. Now, let's give an example. I like to use this one because you can visualize this one, a banana. Everybody eat bananas? We eat them because we want what? Potassium out of the bananas, don't we? Now, let's think about it. I had a blood test done last year in February, and my potassium was low. I thought, this doesn't make sense because I eat 4 to 5 bananas every day. I'm banana-free. But my potassium was low. And I started thinking about this. When I go to Albertsons and I buy a banana, what color is the banana? Green, usually, or high yellow. Where does it ripen at? On your windowsill at home before you eat it, right? Now, what color was that banana in Hope, Arkansas when they picked it and brought it down here? First of all, some of y'all are looking at bananas in Hope. Where do they grow bananas at, y'all? South America, those areas like that. Now, what? And that's quite a distance from here, isn't it? Wouldn't they have to maybe get off the tree, put on the truck, get it to the ship, the plane, get it over here, get it back on the truck, get it to Albertson, get it on the deal? Man, I wonder how much of that nutrients within that banana. How much potassium we're going to get. What I'm getting at is we don't necessarily get it through our food. Now, we can if we want to eat more food to get what? And in fact, the FDA is going to change it now. With the chart you used to get where you had a certain amount of this, you need like E, A, L, they're changing now because they know we need more because we don't get it through the food like we did. But you can eat more food and get it. Now, here's the problem. If you eat more food and get it, now what are you in trouble doing? Get more calories. Then we got another weight problem going on here. Doesn't make sense, does it? With supplements, you can get the same things. Your vitamins, your minerals, your enzymes, your protein, your carb without the added calories. Now, here's the problem, though. And think about this for a second. 5 years ago, there were very few supplements on the market, basically, compared to what there is now. Every day now, I get called all the time. People want me to carry a product in here. I've learned to say one thing. It is clinically tested. If I say that, usually I narrow it down the margin real quick, because most of them, they can't be regulated real quick because y'all, there's too many companies out here. So the only way you can regulate them now, don't depend on the government to regulate this stuff for you. Don't depend on Walmart being your best friend now. What's Walmart going to carry? The best price, right? Not necessarily the best product. If you don't necessarily believe a vitamin or something you're taking is good, because it could maybe not be clinically tested, period, or your body may not even utilize it. If your body's not utilizing it, it's no good anyway. But what I'm getting at is this. Don't think the Centrum's your best friend. Who takes Centrum here? Okay? What's the clinical test? I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying what's the clinical test for it? Is your body utilizing it? How about something else you may take? Is it clinically tested? If not, you need to check and make sure it is. What I mean by that is this. Anybody know who Luke Rigno is in here? Incredible Hulk. Even if you don't keep it with bodybuilding, we all know he'll be watching when we're kids growing up with an Incredible Hulk. 2 years ago, an article came out on Muscle Fit, and I still laugh about this article because he's been bodybuilding for 25 years. He's big, so most of the young guys want to look like him. He's got 25-inch guns, we hope. When he flexes his bicep, it goes up to his neck. The guy won't look like that. Now, think about this article. It came out 2 years ago. He's posing this arm here, and then in this arm over here, he's got a can of protein sitting on it. And at the same thing on below it, the caption says, I owe all my results of success to this supplement. Now, the neat thing about it, because I'm in the business, I looked at this supplement and thought, this supplement's only been out a little less than a year. It's been bodybuilding for 25 years, and I'm not good at math, but it didn't even make any sense to me. But think about it. For the average teenage kid, it makes total sense. Because he could care less than clinically tested. He just knows, hey, I'm going to get that stuff to look like Lou here in about 6 months. Now, if it doesn't work, now he may look like Lou here around the love handle if he's drinking whole milk with it. Anyway, I hope I'm making sense here. It's no different with vitamins or minerals. Most people live in 2 categories here. You know, we talk about health being cosmetic or health, but we also want to talk about supplementation. Most of you go one way or the other. I go to your house and open up your medicine cabinet, there's nothing there. Or I go to your house, open up, and I got 10,000 bottles here. You either believe in everything under the table, you take so much stuff you don't know if it's working or not. Or you don't take anything, period, so you wouldn't know if anything worked or not. Very few of you ever actually look at what you actually need to be taking. And we do a program here called Apex. The only reason we do it is this. We want to take the guesswork out of what you need to know, not what you know. In other words, if we can come in here and tell me if this would help you, if we can come in here and figure out exactly how your body works by determining your oxidation rate, figure out how much carbohydrates, protein, and fats your body can use to sustain or lose or gain, would it help you? It would help you. Why would it help you? Because it takes the guesswork out. Now you can do the footwork, but how many people are likely to do the footwork? Not a lot of people. That's the only reason we brought Apex in here, for the footwork. But let me tell you this. Whether you ever decide to do Apex or not, and you're already taking a supplement, think about this. Before you take it again, write a company and tell them to send you clinically test. In other words, what I'm saying, which university you're testing it. How randomly do you pull a bottle off the shelf to see what's really in it? Example, Joe Weider. Anybody know who he is? Russell Fitness has been around forever. He had a protein out in 1984. I took it all the time called Dynamic Weight Management. Never forget watching 20, 20, or 6 minutes. One of those two, there were only two at the time. They did a test on 3 different states. They tested this dynamic protein. You know what it was in it? This is funny, man. Really, I thought, man, $35 a can almost what I was paying for that stuff. About, well, I don't know, about the size can. I could have went to Albertsons if I'd have been smart about this quick chocolate. Because they determined it had the same value in it. So I could have spent $4 instead of $65. It makes sense, but I didn't know any better because Joe Weider, everybody knew who he was. What I'm saying, you can't trust somebody. You have to check that stuff out. No different Apex. If you're taking an Apex product, call. If you're taking a Shackley product. I'm naming out Shackley because Shackley, I believe in Shackley before I started taking Apex. I believe in Apex, but I know it's going to be tested. Anything you may be testing, there's several out there that's probably good, but there's several out there bad too. So always think about that. If you take something and you don't see results on it, and you don't feel any different, chances are it may not be working. But chances are it could be working. Because don't judge. The biggest thing I have, we have what we call crushed ice energy drinks out on our menu. Okay, we use complex carbohydrates for these drinks. I sold one to a guy about 3 weeks ago. He walked up and said, man, this don't work. I'm not jumping up and down. I don't have any energy. I said, well, did you just work out? Yeah, I just worked out. Well, are you tired? No, I'm not tired. Are you usually tired? Yeah, I'm usually tired. Then it worked. You're not going to be jumping up and down. Unless you want to get on drugs, you'll jump up and down. But those are just to keep you from feeling tired. You're not going to have that magical thing that people look for. But anyway, that's to make you think about supplementation. Remember, we'll be breaking this down in detail later on. Let's talk about resistance training. The biggest reason why I like to do resistance training is for future reference. And what I mean by that is this. You have a lot of senior citizens walk around like this, don't you? Maybe if their diet would have been a little bit better and they would have maybe exercised to prepare themselves, they may not be going through so much as they do now. They've done a lot of research where seniors are starting to really exercise now. But it used to be, if you think about it, even through physical therapy years ago, when you had something done, you'd rest. Now what do? Dr. Smaller can say, what do they do when you do some surgery? They get them up quick, don't they? They get you up quick. They don't want you to lay around. In other words, let's take an example here. Let's say I got Emmett Smith. Team did terrible this year, didn't they? Y'all know who the Dallas Cowboys are? We all know, right? They had the same record as who? New Orleans Saints? I know they don't like to say that, but let's say that Emmett Smith, though, good running back, very lean, mean. Let's say he did real good. I say, Emmett, I want you to take a break. I want you to really enjoy yourself. You come in here, I'm going to take care of you for 6 weeks. Just sit down over there, lay around, do nothing. I'll feed you, I'll bring all your food to you, I'll do you right. 6 weeks later, Emmett, you need to go back and practice. Is Emmett going to really be able to get up there and go to anything? He's deteriorating quickly. An example of this, remember when the Cosby knocks went up in the space? When that Cosby knock came down a few years back, what was he doing? Nothing. They had to carry him off there, didn't they? This last time, what did they have him doing up in space? What did he exercise? Remember that he had a show and all stuff? Now when he got back, he's still a little wobbly. But what he doing what he did last time? He maintained the muscle there. What I'm getting at is this. You've got to use it or you lose it. There's two methods here. It's not the no pain, no gain, but it is that you have to use it or you lose it. You will lose it. I like to deal with seniors. We started a senior program a year and a half ago. We've got over 200 seniors now. It's been so neat to know that I've got 2 of them over 90 years old. One of them's been working out for 6 years with me in different clubs. She's in better shape at 90 than she was 6 years ago. There's another guy in here that plays golf. At least once or twice a week. He's 91 years old. He's neat. He's been working out for 10 years, even before seniors knew he was supposed to do it. Because there used to be always, no, don't do it. Your bones are brittle, don't do it. Now you have to always look at what restrictions you have and where you're at. But the seniors I've worked with, we started doing strength training. Every one of them is gaining lean muscle tissue. Every one of them. These are women that come on Monday, Wednesday, Friday looking at class. There's 25 or 30 of them are just doing good. We also started working on not just strength, but I started thinking about this. I started thinking a while back when I was working up here at Wally, we'd be walking people after surgery, and I always ask them, hey, what happened to you? Oh, Phil, how you feel? Oh, I'm going out to the mailbox, or going out to get the paper or doing this. I was thinking, I wonder why. I lost my balance. That's what they always told me. I thought, well, did you lose your balance? Or did you forget your balance? Now, I know that you're really going, what are you talking about? Do we lose things as fast as we think, or do we sometimes forget them? Do we have a metabolism that slows down as fast as we think it does? Or do we maybe make it slow down faster than it wants to? In other words, when you're in high school and you're so active, you're thinking, hey, man, I'm always trim. When you get out, you think, I don't know, my metabolism slow down. Did it slow down, or did you not slow down after high school? You got busier up here, slower down here. Yes, it's going to slow down with you. It's going to do what you do. Same thing with balance. I've tested this for about 7 months on little women in their 70s. Why did I do that? I wanted to see something. Most of us can come down here and bend down and couldn't hardly keep their balance. Now we're crossing, we're doing all this stuff, and we're getting our balance. What I'm getting at is this. I don't think we lose our balance here as fast as we think. I think we forget it. We never use it. Remember when you were a kid walking in the park? You'd walk with those things and stuff like your kids do, your grand. And do you ever get up and do it with them? All right. So chances are maybe we're forgetting some of it. And you are going to lose some of it, but some of it we forget because we quit doing it. We don't get on the bicycle anymore. We don't do this stuff. But we have to think young and continue to do it. If you do, the Armor All commercial, the little senior guy that jumps off the deal, and you ever see that one? No one slowed that guy down, did it? The guy on the poster, look at him when he leaves. He's 82 years old. He's on the poster when he walks the road. He's 82 years old. All his acts show his lean things. Why? He never listened to what anybody else said. Now they're listening to him. When you strength train, think about this. Don't think all of a sudden, oh my God, I can kick some tail now. Think about this. When you go out there, think about it again. Don't overtrain. Most guys, the world's work, when we get on the machine because of our egos, we want to take you through slow on your workout to see what shape you're in now, not to see how strong you are. The stupidest thing we did 10 years ago is when you came into the gym, we tested your strength by matching you out. Boy, we're stupid. How many people did we hurt before they ever got started? The challenge was to see how strong you were, make you push out that max. Now we don't do that. We determine your strength by going through about 3 workouts with you, slowly doing it. Avoid the soreness so you don't come back the next day and can't walk. We used to have people, women, y'all, that we'd have to do calf raises on the calf machine out here, so heavy that the next day they had to walk like this. You think they even want to come back? Did we prove anything? It's no better than now when they test your strength by having to squeeze this only. That only tells me one thing: how strong my wrist is. That doesn't tell me anything about anything else. So what I'm getting at is this: allow us to do what we do out there. Don't push yourself harder than we want you to, because you're going to have plenty of time. You didn't get out of shape overnight, did you? So let's take a little while to get back in shape. But let's think about this. When you strength train, here's what people do. We have what we call catabolic and anabolic phase. The catabolic is where you come in here and we tear you down. Just like I told you a while ago. We tear you down because of this. You come in here, you tear the muscle fibers every time you do it. And when you leave, what is it crucial that you have in your body? The nutrients, minerals, proteins that build back up. So when you come back, you went through what we call the anabolic stage, which is repair and rebuild. Now think about this for a second. Any of y'all know anybody here like used to always lift weights and never got results? I like to use the young guys, for instance, 16, 17-year-olds, they got a contest. Tell me about it. If you're 16 and 17-year-old, you got a contest so you can get the biggest muscle. What muscle are they talking about? Is it not the bicep? That's the easy one, it's the floor arm. So you get a 16, 17-year-old kid, they think no pain, no gain. They want to come in here and work out their bicep every day. At the end of the month, when the contest is going on, they go up there and they've lost some size. They can't figure it out. They've worked out so hard. What did they not allow it to happen? They didn't have the anabolics. It was catabolic the entire time. They never could build back. They never allowed it time to do it. Whereas you take a guy out here who's in there twice a week, did the same exact thing, worked out 6 to 8 times the entire month, and he got results. Doesn't that even sound more fun to know that you can work out less instead of more? So why do we all overtrain? If you make a lifestyle and you go to 3 days a week, like we say, an hour a day, that's all you need to do if everything else is right on the outside. So when you strength train, think about that. Give yourself the time to recuperate. That's why we say don't come every day. Now, if you come every day, that's why we design things a little differently and we break out body parts and stuff. So when you see somebody out there that may be something totally different, until we've advanced them up to a level. Aerobic women, if you're doing aerobics and you wonder why your energy level down, this is a test that they've finally proven here. It's a neat way to think about it. We know our muscles when they get weaker that we're not giving them time to build back, right? We're just not. But what about our cardiovascular conditions when we do aerobics? How many of you know people who come out here after New Year, they do aerobics every day, busted tail? Anybody? Or you may be one of your minds, you were fixing to plan on doing it. Let me knock you off the loop for a second. If you can do it and your body can recuperate the time, do it. I don't even think it gets that. But if you're one that doesn't, don't come up to me 6 weeks from now and quit coming here. My whole game is to make you continue to come, because what happens, 69% of the people who join up quit in 6 weeks. And actually, I hate that. It's funny in a way because you look at the people that overtrain and don't come, but it's sad in a way because those are the people I see every year. There's 2 guys out there that came in there last year that faded out. I'm back. Come to work and say, well, no, I know what I'm doing. Now they'll be gone. I'll see them now. It's 6 months from now. I'll be there in January again. Why not just make a lifestyle habit of it? And quit doing this stuff to me, bugging me. I want to fill out paperwork on you every year. It's better if you just keep coming. So, when you do it, think about this. You don't want to undertrain, you don't want to overtrain. You want to ride that fine line. What you want to think about on the last thing here is what we're here for, professional assistance. Our whole game plan is to get you where we want to, so you want to come. Now, what's the way I'm going to get every one of you to stay here? Show you results, right? If I don't show you results, I'm kidding myself. You're not going to stay. I don't blame you. The only thing you have to understand is this. We're the professional assistants part of this thing. If you're working out in the gym, I hope you come to the gym because you're expecting to learn something. That's the only reason you're here, because I can get you in shape just as much at home on a bench and 2 dumbbells. All this high-tech equipment, that's nice. I admit that. But it's no different than our competitor. It's equipment's equipment. The only thing that's going to make a difference is if we can show you results. And we have a lot of different ways to do it. We have an Apex program that does it. It's a guaranteed program that if you don't see results in 12 weeks, you get a money-back return. The best thing about this, it's not a diet. It's not something where we set you up with a bunch of prepackaged food and set you on your way and charge you $72 a pound. Do y'all watch that on TV now? They're comparing these diets. $72 a pound? It's ridiculous. I wish I could get that much, but I don't. But it's a way to change your lifestyle so that you know what to do, how to shop in Albertsons County Market, wherever you shop, not to go out and do the wrong thing. Now, for the people who are not going to do that, you have to have a way to learn anyway. That's why we're going to be breaking down the orientation classes all the time throughout the rest of the month. We'll be breaking down and going into each component, breaking it down where you understand it and you can ask questions about it. What I want you to know about this is this. If you ever go into a health club that's going to tell you they're going to be one-on-one you every time you come in the door, they're lying to you. Unless they're going to charge you an average fee of about $300 a month. That's about average now in a health club. $300 is the minimum. Because we have to talk to the trainers. We don't get backdoor trainers like we used to in health clubs. They have to know something because 10 years ago, people didn't care about getting in shape. They were all cosmetic. Now, we have what we call new education age where people are actually educated. They come in, they want results. They're not playing around anymore. So when they come in here, we want to show them results. Now, the thing I want to tell you is this. We do it different than any other club in town. And the reason why we do this, we want to grow. We want to succeed in what we do. We've been here less than any club in town, and we're bigger than any club in town. That shows me we're doing something right. What are we doing right? We're doing it this. We're putting the ball in your court. Why are we doing this? Because I see too many people in the past 15 years who come up to me and tell you I would have stayed with you, but I didn't get the service I thought I was going to get. Now, realistically, I want you to think for a second. No one in here is paying over $34 a month for a membership. Think about what you spend $34 a month on outside. What should you get for $34 a month? A gym and some equipment. Because you can't even go to Sears and get a piece of equipment and pay less than $24 on your Sears card for one piece of equipment. We're providing you with about $800,000 of equipment out here to do it. Which does not mean one thing other than the bench you got at home except for this fact. How many of you have bought an exercise piece of equipment before and had it at home? Most of us. Now here, I wish I had $1 for every one of these stories I'm going to tell you. Every one of you, you either got it at home now, drawn dust, or your husband's shirt's hanging on it, or you've already sold it in the last garage sale, or you traded it for some other piece of mess to it's not working for you. Now, why does it not work? It's not because of the equipment, it's because of the atmosphere. When you do something, you do it because of the atmosphere, not even realizing it. If you go into the doctor's office, what do? You see the doctor. If you go to McDonald's, what do? You eat McDonald's food. If you go to a football game, and you're going to say the Cowboys made it further this year, you ever watch the waves when it goes around? It's kind of exciting. Let's say I had tickets, I took every one of you to the game. When the wave came around, what are you going to do? You're going to wave too, stand in the wave. Now, I didn't get to go to the game this time because I had to work. So, I went home and watched the game there because I want to see all y'all on TV. I'm sure the crowd is big, I'd see you. Now, I'm sitting there excited to see you, but when the wave comes around, am I going to stand up and wave too? No, I'm going to be sitting beside my wife or kid eating chips and watching the game, right? What the atmosphere creates. What I'm getting at is this. That piece of equipment you got, you're no different than anybody else. You did it for 2 or 3 weeks. That's good. Now it's drawing dust. It's drawing dust because the atmosphere is not at home. You've got kids. You've got housework. You've got TV. You've got chips and dip. You've got all these things that interfere. Now, how many of you are going to bring a bag of McDonald's food, eat at the table out there in front of all these cardio people?
I saw somebody do that last weekend.
Sometimes you wouldn't bring a kid and they're like, man, don't do that with you kids in here. But what I'm getting at is this. The difference is the atmosphere. Everybody's working out. It gives you that adrenaline rush. Like tonight, I love January 1, the first Monday of January. That's why you see the adrenaline's going. Boy, everybody's just pumped and ready to get in shape. The only thing is, they used to get educated. So they'd work out there 6 weeks and be gone. It's different now. Here's how it's going to be different. Every one of you, the reason why I do orientation classes is because people slide through the cracks when they're getting signed up. Not necessarily because we don't tell you something. It's because you're excited, because you're in a health club, and you're looking at all the stuff you don't know. So things that we may be telling you may be going, because you're thinking in your mind, oh, about that lady over there, about 6 weeks or this and that, and you didn't hear a word we said. And when it comes to the class, you think, well, what class is this, or what's this, or no one told me I had to have an appointment. All that stuff was told you to remember. So when I get you here, I get you for an hour, I can really make you hear and listen to what I'm saying. You're in control of your destiny in here. We set you up with the training when you first join up. The reason why, we're going to orientate you and evaluate you to see what kind of shape you're in. We're going to go through the trainer at least 3 times to see where you're at. At that point, we go through a novice program on that first side of the card. At the end of that card, you have a last box on it. That's your cue to do one thing. You always release your trainers here. They're not going to, it's not their job. That's where you have a job when you come here. Your job is to keep a trainer as long as you need them. If you don't feel comfortable, if they decide one of your cards and you're out here on the floor looking, what did you do? You release the trainer too quick, right? I want everyone to always feel comfortable with their workout. When I walk through there, I don't want to feel like my people aren't doing it. I want to make sure they are. So their job is to train you as many times. Usually it takes 3 to 4 times for each program for you to understand it. The longer you remember, the more you'll know what the equipment is. You won't have to learn it by numbers. You'll think, oh, tricep machine. There'll be a class going on for you women here in about 4 weeks on body parts, what the bicep and tricep is. A lot of people don't even know what their muscle groups are, so how can we explain it to them? That's why we write little numbers, but we want to educate people on that, because those are the fundamentals. If you have an area you want to work, and you don't know what it is, then how are you going to work it? What I'm getting at is this. Set your appointment with the trainer. After each workout, you go to the front desk and set it up again. At that point, when you feel like, hey, I know what I'm doing on this one, you release the trainer. You start working out by yourself, you don't have to set an appointment anymore. At the end of the workout card, you have a last box. That's a sign. You go up to the front again, you set up for your new program. Every time you get through the program, you go again. Why do we do this? We advance you continuously. As long as you remember, we'll continue to advance you. We'll always do classes here, free to the public and to the members. We'll be breaking down these classes. The activity board on the softball weight area, it'll say the name of these classes. We're always open for suggestions. Even if it's not a workout, if you'll set an appointment, we'll sit down with you and go over different things you may have set in your mind that you may want to achieve. You have to learn one thing, though. There's no such thing, women and men, as spot reducing. You can't spot reduce. You can't spot build. If I want to come to here, here's an example of that. How many guys, this is funny. You see in the free back there, huge upper bodies, no legs. Man, they don't work their legs. They're huge up here, Now, how many women know that come in and they want to lose this, whatever, and that's it. Now, think about this before you leave. When you're trying to lose weight, you have to be mentally prepared impaired is because of this. Who's got long hair? You got long hair. Let's say you went and got a half-inch cut off your hair to come back tomorrow. We wouldn't even miss the hair, would we? But you go get a half-inch cut off your hair. Bald. Now, we would notice his haircut, we wouldn't notice yours. What I'm getting at is this. Same thing with me. Half-inch, I'm bald. But fat works the same way. Well, the reason why we always say you can't spot reduce, it looks like you can because most women don't have their weight in certain areas. So when they start working, they see a little, I love to see the woman with their first definition in here. It's not a blowout, it's a little bit of a tricep showing. They're always walking around so every side. You know, but you get that. Now, I'm probably like, man, it ain't working though. I ain't losing it here. Think about it. A half-inch here, half-inch there. Same half-inch gone, but I can't tell on her, you can tell on me. Same thing here. You lost the same half-inch hair you did here. You just can't see it there yet because you got longer hair here. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be patient and do it right. If you do it right, that'll come off. It's just not there as fast. You be patient with that. One more thing before I let you go. We'll be breaking down this month on nutrition. We'll be breaking down how you can do the footwork. Like I say, Apex is available. It's not free. So if you're on a budget and you think, I don't want to spend that right now, come to these classes. We'll be breaking down and explaining how you can do the footwork. Because you can do the footwork. It's just you have to be willing to do the footwork. We'll be explaining how you go into the store. How many calories in a gram of protein? Anybody know? How much fat? We'll go over all that so you know how to set your eating habits. We'll also be talking about cardio. Let me take the example of cardio. The reason why I don't like somebody walking up to me and say, how many calories can I burn in 30 minutes? My answer is what it's expected. I don't care. I don't care how many you burn in 30 minutes. What I care about how many you can burn today, tomorrow if you miss a workout. That's what I'm concerned about. How many of you do this? How many of you went to Baskin Robbins or ice cream here lately and on the way home you felt guilty? Is that not the worst thing you're feeling? I love to go to Baskin Robbins on the way home thinking, man, that was great. You don't have to have that guilty feeling if you do things right. Now, you're either at one level, you're at a maintenance level, or you're not. If you're not at maintenance level, what do you have to do? You have to get there where you can maintain. Most of us aren't there yet. So we have to get there, so we have to sacrifice. When you get to a maintenance stage, all you have to do is maintain where you're at, and you can cheat. So when you see a health club person out there eating stuff, we work out naturally because we want to have no guilt trip when we go to El Chico or whatever. That's the only reason. We're not going to be eating. I don't eat herbs and all that stuff all the time. I eat what I want to, but I don't have the guilt trip behind it. The cardio works like this. When you do cardio, you always heard that thing people say it prolongs your life. It doesn't, because you may get hit by a Mack truck in a parking lot when you leave here. I have no control of that, but I do know this: if you don't, you'll develop some type of disease, which exercise has been proven to strengthen your immune system to probably fight that too. But let's say you don't, and you cardio. The average heart rate in here now is about 80 beats per minute. That's terrible because about 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it was about 65. What does that show about Americans? Sedentary. We don't do anything anymore. When we're active in our mind and we feel wore out when we come from doing nothing but mentally type things mostly, we don't really get out and run and stuff like that hardly. So the average heart rate of 80 compared to what 65 used to be. Let me give you an example. This is how your energy level can pick up. If you'll give us 12 weeks and you do what we say for 12 weeks, you're going to feel like a total different person. I guarantee it. Guarantee it. I'm so sold on I'll give you money back if you don't. But you have to do what we say. You can't cheat on it. If you'll do your cardio the way I told you to and set that, here's the example. Let's say I'm 80 and you're 65 beats per minute. During this time, if you're 80 beats per minute, during this class alone, you beat at 4,800 times how much your heart beats. That's one thing, muscle that works all the time, never rest. And we hope it never does stop and rest, right? People that are about 65 starting the next time for 12 weeks are about 65 beats per minute, or about 3,900 now. Now, that makes sense at first until you start looking through here. When you get down like per day, let's talk about a day here. In a day, if you're 80, you're beating 115,000 times. But we don't ever sit here and think about that stuff, but it's neat to break that stuff down. In a month, 3 million, almost 3,500,000 times. That's quite a bit. Now let's think about this. Here's what I'm getting at. If you'll cardio exercise, and you'll do this for 12 weeks, you get down to 65 beats per minute on the average. In a year's time, you're going to have about 8 million less beats on your heart. Now let's compare this to something to make you visualize what I'm saying. I have a Cadillac. You have a Cadillac. My Cadillac, I only drive once a week to church. And I'm real careful with it. I do everything right. You dog your Cadillac all the time. Same year, same make. I decided to sell my car, and you want to too. Which car are you going to buy? Mine. How come? It's in better shape and we know it. Now, think about it. This body's in better shape. If your heart beats 8 million times less a year, do you think it may not last a little bit longer? Not only that, but your heart, it's less work on your heart. If it's less work on your heart, what's probably speeding up? Your metabolism. Your metabolism is speeding up. What are you probably doing more of throughout the day, even when you miss a workout? Wouldn't it be nice to know, instead of coming down here and bragging in January for 6 weeks that you burned 300 calories on a treadmill, you burned the cherry pie you ate off last night, to know that when I walk in the door I say, hey, I'm glad I today. You know, I burned 400 calories off today. Didn't do nothing. I skipped a workout today. Because of dedication, what I'm saying is this: when you get it down there, it's going to be rewarding, and you'll always be rewarded. Don't just do it for short term. Be consistent. Always think of the thing we have on the wall back there. Fitness is a journey, not a destination. If you think about it that way, you'll see the result. That's basically it tonight. I hope that you learned something. Again, you're just really here to get you thinking about these things and seeing the importance. One more thing before I let you go. Cardio. Why are we, some of you are asking, why are we having you do cardio after the workout? Let me tell you why we have to do cardio. Anybody know? Anybody probably thinking, well, why do we do cardio? What does it make a difference? Here's what makes a difference. We've got two stomachs. Okay? You don't, but just say you do. You got what we call an energy stomach and a fat stomach. This one's going to be storing body fat. This one's going to be storing everything you eat for the day. Fat's what? Dead weight, right? Diet and never to feed you again. Muscle is living tissue. We have to feed it to sustain it and maintain it and get more of it. If I come in here and I do like the aerobic women did for 10 years, the booty's hanging, what tank am I probably going to realistically use when I do aerobics? Remember, our body's in a survival state at all times. It doesn't want to use the nutrients over here. I mean, the fat here does it, because it can use that later on. If it gets into the disaster, like some of y'all do, sometimes you get in a desert here in town, you didn't eat 2 meals and you go home and you eat 9. That's a desert to your body. It just knows, hey, shift this metabolism and slow it down. Something's wrong here. We do it all the time. What it does is this: when you cardio, it burns all this tank up. You go home feeling all good, but the weight's not coming. Why come? You're always burning this tank. You never burn it to the fat stores. Now, let's put it this way: if you come in here now and you strength train first, muscle needs nutrients, doesn't it? What tank are you burning from? This tank? All the energy stores, carbs, protein, whatever you ate today, has probably been used here for the muscle. Now we get on the cardio. What tank's left? This tank. So what are we forced to do? Use fat stores. In other words, you're tricking your body. Your body gets confused in a very short time and adjusts to everything you do. So you have to always change. But cardio is no different. Your body will adapt to it. Don't do the same treadmill. And I guarantee if you do the treadmill for 6 weeks, you'll be the same as these other people. You'll be in here now, getting after it. In about 6 weeks, when I look up, you have your headphones, and you'll be watching TV, barely moving. You have to crisscross the cardio just like we do in your weights. Other than that, does anybody have any questions before we end?
I do. If someone is on like medication for blood pressure and it lowers their blood pressure or it lowers their pulse, is it also lowering their metabolism?
Sometimes it can.
But not
that's
necessarily.
Where you want to check, like with your doctor, because there's so many different types of blood pressure medicine now, and see what that, because usually it'll tell you, you know, what it can do, but yes, it can do that. And a lot of different things will affect that. But a lot of different things won't affect it, like we say. Thyroid. All women seem to have thyroid problems walking here. Well, maybe it's the thyroid not pushing away from the table. You know, it's not always a thyroid problem. Sometimes it's a habit problem. So, but there are some things that do make a difference. But it's not usually like to say what we think it is. Most of the time, it's the thing that we're sedentary. We don't do anything, you know. So that's something you think about. Yes, but that does play a role there. But that's when you get it. Anybody have any questions?
Am I understanding you to say, instead of doing the treadmill before you exercise first, then do your treadmill?
Yeah, now we'll warm you up all the way for like 5 minutes and just get you warmed up and do it. And then you do the cardio. Yeah. The cardio, when I say cardio is cardiovascular exercise, where you get the heart rate up, level off, and then you bring it back down to the end. Warm up and just get on there and warm yourself before we work you out. Don't get those confused. We sell a product here called lipotropic and transport. Some of you probably heard of it. Don't think it's a miracle cure, but we sell a lot of it to people that don't even have a clue what it is. It's so neat to watch the women walk in here and buy this stuff. I want a bottle of lip oil. I heard someone that's taking it. This stuff is just L-carnitine, y'all. What it does is saturate. Let me give you an example of this so you'll know if you get it, you have to do cardio. When you buy this stuff, and if you take it without doing cardio, remember when you do cardio, what are you doing? You're releasing fatty acids, right? Now, if you don't do cardio, you're releasing very few fatty acids, right? So, if you take lipotropic transport, which is just saturating the blood, in other words, your body's already going to produce L-carnitine. But if you take this, it's going to saturate your blood with what we call a little small taxicab. And an example is this. If you go to the Academy Awards, you got 2 limousines, you're going to try to take all those people, you're in trouble, aren't you? Now, at the end of the Academy Awards, when all the people are gone, 2 limousines are fine, right? Same thing when you do in cardio. When you're releasing these fatty acids, your body produces so much L-carnitine. If you're real fat, your body's probably releasing a lot more fatty acids, right? So you got not enough taxicabs to take the fat into the Academy Awards. If you take the L-carnitine and saturate, you have a lot of taxicabs for a lot of fat, you're probably going to lose more fat. The only thing is, most people take this and they don't even exercise. So what is it probably going to do? Just go right through you? So you always, no matter what supplement you take, you have to make sure it's being utilized or it's being wasted. So remember that. Don't go and buy that stuff unless you research and make sure it does. There's a lot of good stuff. There are a lot of things that are being wasted if you don't do it right. Again, remember to look on the activity board there. And if you come to some of these classes, we'll be breaking these down. Randy will probably be doing most of the nutrition stuff. These that are Apex or Sandy, and they'll be telling more about the supplements. If you have supplements you're already taking, bring with you. We can go over all that stuff with you. Any other questions? Y'all, appreciate everybody for coming. Now, like I said, if you have any questions at all on the floor, yes, sir.
Our next step then is just to follow those, look at the classes we're going to join.
Yeah, do that. And if you haven't, now some of y'all are in here on free passes. If you haven't been set up, if you're a member already, you need to make sure you're set up for your evaluation of your body fat measurement. If you're on a free pass and you haven't been trained yet, make sure you go to the front desk and get them to put you on the computer for your 2 weeks and get an appointment set for your first workout. Has anybody, so you understand the principles, orientation is not just for new members, it's for anybody who wants to come learn. Sometimes I get people from other clubs or people who are exercise at home just to go over things with it. So you don't necessarily have to be a member of that, but if you're on the pass, make sure you get your appointment set. With it being January, y'all, you can kind of get an idea that someone all the way up to today, it's booked in the book. We had to put you by appointment, or we can't guarantee you'll be able to be trained. We want to make sure you're able to be trained. Same thing with evaluation. You need to get your body fat down. It doesn't matter if you're doing Apex or not. That's not important. What we want to know is what you're losing. If you're not losing fat, you're losing muscle, then we're going to defeat what we're out to do. And we don't want that. You've got to be able to get the result. Same thing with the book. Just don't slide the cracks. If you have a question, you're concerned about something, or you may have a different area that you want to get in your own workout, just come back and we'll be able to help you. Now, we're not going to throw everything at you once, because I had a guy the other day who wanted me to put him on almost every machine in here. I'm not going to do that. I mean, he has to overtrain himself. So we'll put you on what we think you need to be on, but there's like inner and outer thighs. Those things are just, a lot of women like to do these on the side. You know, we'll show you how to do that stuff too. You don't hesitate to ask. Okay. Like I said, we're different classes all the time. But I appreciate all y'all for coming. Like I say, if you have any friends who are thinking about working out, whether it's home, whatever, send them in here. Give them some tips on what to do. Work, you know, it just keeps you from being steered wrong. So you get results. And don't hang yourself with you. Thanks, y'all.